What's up, YouTube fam? Just getting off work. My little happy-go-lucky job. I want to talk about generations. I've mentioned baby boomers and Gen Z, millennials, shit like that. Baby boomers is basically the generation before the millennials, like my parents. People my age who are about, say, between the ages of, like 26 to fucking 40. Damn, we old as fuck. Yeah. So the people that's basically in their 30s and 40s, we're basically the millennials. We're the people who were born in the late 70s and late 80s. We're the only generation in the world who went through childhood without the internet and without all this modern day smartphone technology. And then as we started to grow up in high school and started to graduate, we noticed the transition of technology started to advance very, very much, like a lot. Like, we had cell phones. I remember kids had like little flip phones when I was in high school, like 9th and 10th grade, even that early, which is back in like the early 2000s, like 2002, 2003. I seen people like with flip phones, shit like that, little Nokia phones and shit. But now it's like everybody and their mama's got a fucking smartphone with the internet. Shit happened very fast. Anyway, that's millennials. Gen Z are these young new kids coming up, very mentally unstable. They have little to no social skills at all, and they're very, very depressed. Then you got the baby boomers, which was basically the millennials' parents. The people who were born in early 60s, late 70s. I'm not gonna say we, I'm gonna say they are, the baby boomers had it the best. They kind of fucked every other generation over, not purposely, but just with, the way they consume, the way they spend, the way they borrow, their lack of budgeting skills, things like that, which causes a lot of inflation. It gets kind of complicated to those who haven't really tapped into that type of world or really educate themselves about stuff like that. So I'm not going to get too much into all that because it can be very overwhelming mentally. But I will say this, like college tuition was only $600. Most of them didn't have to pay mortgages when they were buying a house, things like that. The cost of living was from your average income back in the days compared to the cost of living back then. It's like like a single man like me could work a job, save a bunch of money, and buy a fucking house within months. Where now it'd take a couple years, maybe a few years to do that, which I talked about, the 3-step plan and all that shit. The thing with the generations now, the millennials, I would say we got it the worst. Actually Gen Z got it really, really bad. But my generation of millennials, we were the first to really feel the hardships of inflation. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, not the other day, but probably like a couple weeks ago, and we was just riding around looking at all these houses, and I'm thinking the people that own the houses and what age they were, and I'm thinking like my parents didn't have a lot of money. I mean, my dad worked at the fucking post office for like 30-something years. Just recently retired, too, So, congratulations to him. But it's not like it's not like he was a fucking doctor or a lawyer and he was just making buku money. I mean, he made decent income for the job that he had for as long as he could. And I always wondered, I'm like, how is it that my mother and father, who were divorced, lived in separate homes, by the way, how was it that they were able to have cars and houses and it seemed like they had their financial life just in order early. Like by the time the average 30-year-old back in the early 90s, they had a fucking house, they had a car, they had a decent job, probably had a wife, kids, and a family. That's just what it was. It was easy to find love back then. It was easy to buy a house. It was easy to save money. It was easy to buy a car. It was just easier to have shit back in those days because the cost of living wasn't nowhere near as high as it is now. the pressure to have to work and have two incomes and things like that was not nearly as bad as it is now. So this is why I hate when I hear these other fucking generations talk about, oh, these kids don't want to work, they're lazy, this and this and that. Yeah, some of them are. A lot of these young generations are fucking lazy because you motherfuckers programmed them to be that way. Just like how they talk about, boys are so soft, men are very feminine, and men are just not men. We're not masculine like the men back in the day, which is true. Because guess what? Most niggas my age in their 30s, we're just now learning about masculinity. Nobody ever taught us. Being a man is something that has to be taught. It's something that takes years to develop. Like I said, like the way you talk, the way your body is structured, things like that. Your eating habits, your daily habits, your sleeping habits. These are things that need to be taught. Baby boomers did not teach the millennials how to be men. They did not. They told them to go to school, get a job, blah, 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 get the fuck out of my face. And when you turn 18, you better move out and already have a plan. That's what most baby boomers, not all, but that's what most of them fucking did. Even the ones who deny doing that. That's basically what they did. They didn't prepare us for success. Now, the generation before the baby boomers, I want to say is, I forget the name of what they call them, but I want to say like the silent generation or the great generation, something like that. Grand old generation, I don't know, whatever. I don't know what you call them, but they do have a name. I mean, they have an identity. They've already been identified through by generation. So basically what I'm saying, like the baby boomers, they came up. They had it easy. It was easy to get a job, easy. It was just, it was easy to partner up with somebody and be able to have two incomes, raise a family. Shit was easy. Shit started getting worse and worse as inflation, the cost of living, everything has pretty much fucked us up. By the time the millennials, which was like the people of my generation, by the time my generation was 18, 19 years old, we were already getting fucked. The cost of living was already very high. The gas prices were ridiculously high. Shit, when I was in middle school, this was in time, when I was in 8th grade is when, in 2001, when 9/11 happened, September 11th. I was there. I mean, I wasn't there at the scene, thank God, but I remember being at school and I remember watching the news. We stopped all assignments. We had to put our homework away, which we was all happy about that. But they made us watch the fucking news, and I didn't understand what was going on. I was high as shit. I was smoking weed back then. I was a fucking burnout. God, I regret it so much. But I remember being high as fuck, knowing about some airplanes and a building broke down. I didn't understand why it was so serious until a few days after, when I sobered up a little bit. But the point of me saying that was, it was a different time. After 9/11, that's when prices just started going up, gas prices, everything. So I never got a chance. My generation never had a chance to actually be adults and actually prosper. Because we started struggling, as soon as we got out of high school, as soon as we graduated. Shit, before we fucking graduated, life was already hard. Life was just too fucking hard. So it's fair to say, the baby boomers, they did not prepare us for life. Now, that's not here to sit there and bash our parents' generation or to curse their generation, but it's really just to point out, maybe they didn't know any better. They didn't know how to teach us how to be men. They didn't know how to teach us how to get money and how to beat the system. Because y'all got to think now, the system worked for them. The same system, the same little manual instructions that they want us to follow, go to school, get a job, find you a wife and have kids and raise them. That shit only worked for them back then because it worked for them. So they're only teaching us what they know. Y'all, our parents don't hate us. I don't think they purposely set us up for failure, but that's all they knew. They just taught us what they knew, which was get a job, be a regular everyday 9-to-5 worker, and then work that job for all your fucking life and then retire and have a nice little pension. That's all they knew, y'all. They didn't know any better. So we can't just keep really kicking dirt on them. I mean, they didn't know better. I mean, some of them were lazy. Listen, a lot of parents didn't give a fuck. So what happened was they ended up birthing us, our generation, the millennials, which we're way weaker than the men back then. We're way more financially unstable than them. we are more mentally unstable than the generations before, even though they had their issues. So, some things improved. Like, we learned how to communicate. We learned how to, understand our kids better instead of, oh, do as I say, or I'm going to whoop you, which is a good thing. But in return, a lot of these Gen Z kids is out of fucking control. Most of the parents my age are weak parents, and we have a hard time disciplining our kids, things like that. So now that we're fucked up, we got another generation coming, the Gen Z, and they're getting older, y'all. They're pushing 16. They're almost 18 years old, y'all. Gen Z is almost legal adults now. This is scary. Then they got Generation Alpha, which I don't know why the fuck they call them that, which is like my youngest daughter's generation, who's 4. So like these little toddlers coming up now, y'all, they're going to be really mentally unstable. All they know is smartphones. That's the first generation. Like, they were born with tablets and shit in their hands. So, y'all, my point of really going over this rant, I didn't really get to cover too much. Just kind of gave y'all the basics. You got the baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Z. This is the generations that matter the most now. Well, millennials starting to matter most because most baby boomers are getting older. They're starting to get put in nursing homes, and a lot of them are just dying out because of poor eating habits and things like that. So this is why the millennials, y'all, it's basically, y'all, my point, y'all, the millennials, it's up to us. If the millennials don't save the world, nobody is. I don't think nobody from Gen Z is going to do it, y'all. They don't even have that drive and ambition to win anymore, which I don't blame them because the game is so fucking rigged, man. It's like, how could you tell them to go out there and succeed when it's like everything is designed for them to fucking fail? So then they got Generation Alpha, which, y'all, we can't even, we got to think about them, but we got to really plug it in it. We got to really rehabilitate. Dog, we got to save Gen Z because Gen Z is the ones that's going to really raise Generation Alpha. So this is sad. A lot of people don't take this generation shit serious, but y'all need to take it fucking serious. Because one day, us millennials, we're going to be fucking old and dying in nursing homes. These Gen Z and motherfucking Generation Alpha, these going to be the motherfuckers that's going to have to wipe our ass and feed us our little fucking yogurt and pudding or whatever the fuck. Because, let's be honest. If we don't prepare our children for success, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be successful. Just like our parents. They didn't train us. They didn't prepare us to be successful. They didn't train us on how to get rich and how to get money. That's why most of us are fucking broke and struggling. And most of the entrepreneurship shit we learn is from other people who have failed and who have got back up and won. So thank God for internet. You got YouTube and shit like that. People actually able to teach. Like, I'm able to get on here and give you this information, where I wasn't able to do that back in the days. So, yeah, y'all, it's really serious, man. These generations coming up, if these generations don't get their shit together, we're all fucked, because these are going to be the people who are controlling the world. This is going to be the new military. These are going to be our presidents and our doctors and our lawyers and our teachers. And they're all struggling financially, y'all. So we got to really analyze what caused this shit. No, it's not about living in the past, but if you can see what mistakes the other generations made in the past, then you have a better chance of fixing the generations in the future. I'm going to say that one more time before I hang up. Before I turn this video off. If we can really point out the mistakes that the older generations made, then we will have a better chance of making sure that the next generations don't make those same mistakes. I will see y'all tomorrow. All right? Peace.